I hope everyone had a very good summer and had some time to relax and enjoy time with family and friends. And please excuse me for not standing, but the crutches are killing me. So I really am much more comfortable sitting down. And we have several new people who are in the community now. There's 58 new full-time faculty members who have joined us this academic year, with about 43 adjunct professors who have been joining us. And we have, this year we had a lot of retirees, people leaving the university after many, many years of service to us. And since graduation, we have hired 94 new staff members. So it's a record number. So welcome to all of you who are joining the Villanova community. And I really hope that you find your time here to be a good experience. And please call us out if it's not. Tell us that we're not doing what we promised you we would do. The freshman class is 1,686. We have about 16 more than we really wanted, but they came anyway. This class is probably the most academically gifted class we have ever accepted. They are just superstars in terms of their scores, GPAs, experience in high schools, what they've done as extracurricular activities, the activities they've been involved in outside of their schools, where they come from. They are really a stellar group of individuals. And so they are expecting a lot from us, and we need to produce for them as well. They're geographically and ethnically diverse as well. We have about 47 different states represented on campus. Exactly, I think we had all 50 apply, but I think there's 42 states that are actually represented on campus. 17 different countries are represented within the freshman class. 52% of the class is female, and 48% of the class is male. You all know that the females are much more gifted than the males, so, and they're much more diligent about what they do. So 20% of the class is multicultural, and we continue to try to raise that number and look for ways of attracting those students here to our campus. I was given a few interesting tidbits by our director of admissions. If you have ever gone to the new student acceptance day event, you'll know where I'm getting all of this from. But there are the most popular names amongst the freshman class are Julia and Michael. So strong name, Michael. There you go. And 10 students are named Thomas. And there are several sets of twins. I think 10 sets of twins. And that's about all. But this summer, we have had a record number this summer of over 17,000 people looking at colleges visited Villanova over the course of the summer. That's a record number for us. So I'm expecting our admissions numbers to continue to rise, and that's a very good thing. As you know, many schools around the country, particularly small liberal arts colleges, are having a very hard time attracting students. They're not meeting their numbers. So we are very blessed to be having so many students interested in Villanova University. And a lot of the credit goes to our fabulous, fabulous admissions office. So thank you all very much for Staff can take that. They're all sitting back there. So the campaign closed. Woo! It's all over, and at least this one is, and the next one is, I think they've already started it. But the campaign officially closed with the record number of dollars of $760 million. And we will celebrate that over the course of the fall for faculty and staff who contributed to the campaign. Thank you so much for your financial contribution to the university above and beyond what you do in so many different ways. You made a difference, a big difference in what we do and how we do it, and I'm very grateful for your financial commitment to us as well. I know for some of you it's a real sacrifice, so thank you for investing in Villanova as well. But we will celebrate an event for lots of different groups on campus. So it has been a wonderful opportunity for us, and it has allowed us to do so many things on campus and will continue to allow us to do so many things on campus. And I cannot be more grateful to Mike O'Neill and the staff of the University Advancement. These people knocked themselves out for the last 8 years or so. Was it 8 years, Mike? Is that 8 and counting? And as I said, we're already starting the next one, which is silent right now, so I'm not going to talk about it. But to Advancement, thank you so much. You've really positioned Villanova for a great place in the future, so I'm very grateful. All right, let me talk a little about what's happening with facilities around here. Some of the good things and some of the not so good things. But through rain and heat and humidity, much work was accomplished throughout the campus. And while there has been a lot accomplished, the weather was not always a friendly thing for us. The most visible work that you see has occurred along Lancaster Avenue. The driving through Villanova has become a reality. And from the Gateway Bridge to the apartment buildings to the steel structure of the Performing Arts Center, and I'm very happy about that. And to the new sidewalk, the lighting. If you never have the opportunity to be around here in the evening, it is quite spectacular to drive down Lancaster Avenue at night now. The new lights, and the lights are on in the apartment, the work lights are all in the apartment, so it looks like people are actually living in them. But it really has a very different image for Villanova. And it's really transformed the campus in a very Villanova way, a very positive way. The area itself, we have West Campus, South Campus, Main Campus. The area itself, the Board of Trustees has approved to call it the Commons. So it will be referred to as the Commons. And we've had a lot of positive comments on it. The children at the Sunday Masses at Villanova tell me all the time they love Hogwarts across the street. So they're expecting a train to go riding over there someday. But so at this point, the projects are on schedule. The apartments will open next August, and the upperclassmen, the juniors and seniors who will be living the juniors who will be living in those apartments next year, their lottery will begin shortly, I think within the next couple of days. We're still wrestling with the idea of naming them. There are actually 6 buildings over there. And if you've spent long enough in Villanova, you know the students have a way of naming things before they get officially named. Always naming something is an opportunity for Advancement to do its magic and to excite someone about putting their name on a building. We've tried. We haven't had anybody bite, so if any of you are interested, I'd be happy to accommodate you. It's not cheap, so we're looking at different options. Maybe some former people at Villanova, old presidents who nobody would care if we took their name off the building if somebody comes forth. And I'm just being honest with you. The second president of Villanova was called Hartnick, and in fact, everybody says I look like him, but Hartnick is the person, and he was the president twice. We don't know anything about his family, and so he wouldn't care. But so if somebody comes along and says, I'd like Hartnick, we'll say, he's yours, take him. We're dealing with that right now, and we're looking at some of that. But we have some interesting history. One thing I found out recently, and I was kind of surprised at it, for the longest time, the Board of Trustees were all Augustinians. The entire board was Augustinians, and it was the monastery who controlled the schedule of the university. Those days are long gone, and but the first non-Augustinians on the board, the first one was the president of Rosemont College. Her name was Sister George O'Reilly, Sister Mary George. She was the first woman and non-Augustinian to serve on the board, and the first layman to serve on the board was a man by the name of Jesse Clark. I believe it was his last name, if I'm remembering correctly. And he was African American. So he was the first lay person, male, ever to serve on the Board of Trustees. I think maybe we should honor some of these people. So for what they did in the kind of the ground, and that was back in the mid-60s. So that was, that's kind of special for us, I think. However, in several weeks, the final stages of the pavilion will open up. It will open up with Hoops Mania in the first weekend of October. So the students are going to be the first ones to actually see the inside of the dazzling new Finneran Pavilion. I was in there last week. It is changed. Looks very different. An old building has put on a new inside. It is really spectacular the way it looks. And we'll have several events over the course of October to kind of welcome people and let people see the space and all of the bells and whistles in it and all the fancy things that will happen to it. The floor revolves and moves, and lights go here and there and everywhere. So it's very, very well done, very nicely done. I compliment the athletic department and facilities for the work they've done. It's been on budget and it's been on time, so that's even more important. But it certainly has been transformed. And then the games will actually start there this year, and if you haven't bought tickets yet, don't worry about it. Watch it on TV. As you know, several departments have or will be moving to new locations. Classrooms have been renovated in St. Mary's Hall, Tollentine Hall. If you haven't been at the second floor of Tollentine Hall, it's a glimpse of what the future of Tollentine could look like. Fabulous job of renovating some classrooms up there. Bartley Hall, there's been some renovations there, as well as chemical engineering. The first phase, this has nothing to do with Villanova, but the first phase of the SEPTA train station has been completed. So the new lights are there, the new tunnel is there. I hear it's lovely. I haven't been down in it yet, but I hear it's very well done. There is plans to redo the platforming and the station house, but that hasn't been set as to when that will be happening. So in the future, that will go on. So SEPTA will be back. But it's a vast improvement over what was there. Mendel Field. Mendel Field, I thought it was going to be a rather easy job. It's not. We've had a lot of things happen over there, a lot of findings that we didn't expect under the ground, and also torrential rains that turned the field into mud and a dangerous situation for the workers in these pits or in these ditches. And flooding that took place in Mendel Hall because of all the mud and rain that fell on the field. So unfortunately, Mendel's still going along, but it's going to take a little while, and it'll probably be an early Christmas present at this rate. But it has been a lot of work. So those are some of the facilities, things that are going on. I mentioned some of them in my letter to the community. But there's been a lot of work going on here over the course of the summer. And for the facilities and the grounds people, mega thanks for everything that you have done. All of this, the new people, the people that are here, the places, are really helping to propel Villanova forward. You know, we've celebrated the 175th anniversary, so we're moving on into a new decade, a new time period, a new history for Villanova, and much, much has been accomplished. We have really tried to live out that idea of igniting change, and many things have been accomplished. And if you look since the last strategic plan was begun in 2008, 2009, we have moved a great way. I remember back in those days, I said to everybody, the train is leaving the station, and you need to be on board, and you got on board. We have accomplished a great deal in the last year with the strategic plan. We have moved to a new national ranking. We have moved to new levels of research and scholarship. We've attracted some outstanding faculty and staff to the university, and a wonderful, wonderful, highly academic group of students who are very eager to be here and very much a part of the place. So there's this real restlessness. We talk about restlessness all the time at the university. And I think there is this restlessness to continue to move forward and kind of push the drive forward, you know, push it into, to move to new places. And we're beginning to do that. The new strategic plan, in a little while I'm going to invite the provost up here to talk a little bit about what's happening with the strategic plan. So we have a lot to be proud of. And I am very, very proud of all of you for everything that you've done and for the way you've cooperated and the way you've invested yourselves and the ideas that you have shared and kind of the way you've pushed sometimes when we needed to be pushed. So all of you have done a great job of doing that. However, not all of it has been successful. And I think at times we need to confess that we have failed. Most recently, I saw an ad, ironically, for the YMCA on television, and I wasn't really paying much attention to it, but suddenly its message really kind of resonated with me. And it spoke about this country was had been built on us, on all of us. People with different looks, different voices, but that there was this one sacred bond that united all of us as part of this country. And today, that bond has been fractured, if not shattered in some cases. We see it throughout our country, in our communities, in our church, and here at Villanova. The sacredness of the human person has been violated by others who have been empowered to protect them. We need to address the ruptures at Villanova, and we need to also make this a place where people create the healing spaces for our students, our staff, and our faculty. As we embrace and more fully embrace our Catholic social teaching, we hold the dignity of every human person. As educators in this Augustinian Catholic university, we are charged with a monumental task of maintaining and defending our mission to create a multi-faith environment to guide our students to embody the Gospels. Now, more than ever, our university must safeguard the sanctity of every person. To embrace a hopeful future, we need to heal the past and present wounds. As Villanova becomes a larger, even more complex institution, we cannot forget our roots. We espouse a strong sense of community and a dedication to seeking truth and advancing knowledge and love and respect for one another. At the core of these commitments, we each bear the responsibility to have the power to do what is right, what is legal, and what is ethical. And when we do not know where to turn, I am very proud of the fact that we have Villanova faculty and staff who can help people navigate and support them on the way through some of these complex issues. These issues may involve environmental health and safety, sexual misconduct, diversity and inclusion, protection of minors, disability service, academic integrity, just to name a few. Many of you know that the Department of Education is promoting a whole new system of how sexual assault is handled on campus. We must, as an institution, continue to do what we believe is right for people that experience that. Another of the resources that we have is Ethics Point. If you don't know about it, it's an online resource that allows you to raise questions and concerns anonymously. These resources are available to help you and to make sure that we are doing things right. Our goal is to remain confident and proud in the decisions we each make daily on behalf of our students and on behalf of Villanova. I ask for your cooperation, your courage, and support as we continually strengthen our community. What has happened recently with the grand jury in Pennsylvania has caused a great deal of concern for many people of faith. It has shaken the roots of not only our church community, but I think of people's faith commitment to this church. As you know, we have been longtime members of the Association of Catholic Colleges and Universities, and I have the privilege and the honor of representing that association on the American Council of Education as its board member. The association came out with a statement about the sexual assaults and abuse that had taken place within the church and its cover-up. And I want to share with you, so I'm going to read this the way it is, but this is a statement that was composed by the presidents of Catholic colleges and universities, and it has been put onto their website. I think it says more as a collective group than I could say individually, and so I would like to share some of it with you. We, both as an association and as individual members of the Catholic community, are increasingly disheartened at the revelation of the decades-long sexual abuse within the Catholic Church. With each passing day, we learn anew how minors and vulnerable adults were sexually harmed by clergy, and to make matters worse, how ecclesiastical leadership failed to protect them. This widespread evil has resulted in a crisis of faith in the moral leadership of our church, fruit of a culture of silence that both allowed and perpetuated the abuse. Now more than ever, it is a time for courageous leadership to emerge. The Association of Catholic Colleges and Universities stands in solidarity with the thousands of victims and acknowledges with them the irreparable nature of harm that has been done. We are heartbroken by the atrocities committed by clerics and consecrated persons against those entrusted to their pastoral care. Criminal acts were committed by predatory leaders, most often in parishes. Clericalism enabled complicity and cover-up. Like many believers, we feel a deep sense of betrayal and still hope this betrayal is but a fraction of the pain endured by the victims. Now more than ever, it is time to take responsibility and advance reform. We press upon church leaders to include expert membership of the laity, especially women, more fully in the work of reformation to eradicate abuse. Reform must include independent oversight that will address the systematic cover-up that lies at the heart of this present crisis. Notwithstanding the advances that have been made in recent years to put in place some helpful practices, we call upon church officials to re-examine the exploitive culture and practices that fail to protect God's people and the hierarchy that allowed criminal offenders to go unpunished. Taking a cue from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in post-racial South Africa, we look for full transparency and restorative justice, acknowledging the grave sins and hurt to victims. Now more than ever, it is time to call upon the commitment and life experiences of the laity to insist in the transparency and reformation process. With that said, we need, as a university, to look at some of the practices we have here on campus. And so we really have to advocate for accountability on the part of the leaders of the church and church officials. I think each one of us can do that. That's not a role that I have alone, but I think every person who shares in this faith community has an obligation and a right to do that, to let them know what you think and what answers you want to hear. I think we need to ensure safety and make sure that all our policies, and we are doing this right now, will really protect the sexual and moral safety of every person here on campus. We need to advocate for lay people, as the comment as the statement from the president say, especially women. Right now, women we have had a very excluded part of church leadership, and it needs to be changed radically. We need to be clear that everyone in our community knows what actions are to be taken if you witness an inappropriate sexual action. Each one of us hear, encounter, see, experience, faculty, staff, students, if we hear something, we need, as we are reminded at the train station, to say something. To say somebody else can talk about it, or I can leave it to somebody else, or I can, if someone is sexually harming or sexually harassing anyone on this campus, we need to confront it. And it cannot be left to somebody else. We need to be clear that everyone in this community knows what actions to be taken. And we need to protect and be sure that new employees specifically go through background checks. We need to take the lead and revisit all the programs in which young people come to this campus on. What we expect of our people that work here, how we expect them to be treated, what we expect to happen when we invite young people to partake in programs on this campus. And that is something that is our responsibility in total. It's not just one program, and therefore they can take care of the kids. It's our responsibility to take care of these young ones. I know every one of us grieve for the thousands of individuals who have been violated in their body, mind, or soul. And we cannot correct the past, but we must certainly commit to a better future. With that said, campus ministry is holding some events, as well as there's a faculty panel that will be taking place over the course of this week. But various forms of prayer, meditation, naming and sharing, feeling for grieving victims and sexual abuse will be available for our members in our community to participate in what they are referring to as a space of lament and listening. And it is for all members of the community. It will be held, I believe, tomorrow afternoon in the grotto section of the campus green, where the statue of the mother and child are there. Anybody who would like to come and participate. But we've experienced it not only outside of Villanova, but we've also experienced here at Villanova, where we have had some members of our community, unfortunately, do things that shouldn't have been done. And so they are offering that, and you can find more details about it on their website. I know they announced it at all the liturgies yesterday and encouraged students to participate in it. There's also a panel discussion that has been put together by several faculty members that will be held on Thursday evening from 7 to 9 at the Charles Widger School for Law in room 101. That has been on Campus Currents. I think I misled some people and said both of them are on Campus Currents. The campus ministry one is on their website. But all are welcome to partake, and this is a panel of people who know the legal and the church doctrines and all of those kinds of things that are coming together to kind of share their thoughts on the grand jury and also what holds for the future of the Catholic Church and its leadership. So I invite all of you to participate in it if you so feel that you would like to. But it's the beginning of a much needed conversation and movement to demand action in the life of this church that I and many of you have a deep regard for. But let's move on to more pleasant things. As we move forward, we can't lose sight of who we are and our origins and all of those kinds of things. And we remain very rooted in our values, in our traditions, in our customs, in who we are, the history that we have forged here as a community. These roots have really helped us to be restless, how we shape our future. And it is really the future that we need to focus on as we move forward for this year. Our institution has to be relevant, it needs to respect one another, and it needs to become an institution that understands how we as a renowned people can make a difference in the world in which we are living. And over the past year, we've begun to create our new future, or create who we are, or where we will go in the future. And we have created the vehicle to create a new strategic plan, and many of you have been involved in it. This has been a plan that has very much been designed to go from the ground up and move through lots of different levels of the campus community. But it's, and many of you, as we participate in it, all of it, and it's really a theme I want to press for this year and the years to come as we move into this strategic plan, is we need to take hold and look and develop our academic excellence. We need to be about academics, and we need to be a place about academics. And we need to look at, we've done a lot of things on campus to improve student life and residence halls and athletic facilities, and we've done a lot. And the transformation of the campus. We need to focus now on our academic life and what we're doing in terms of our academic facilities, our scholarship, our research, how we're funding them, and how we're moving them forward. So a lot of the new strategic plan really gives emphasis to that academic nature. And we have, as I said, we have much to celebrate. We have much to celebrate in who we are, but we have a lot more to accomplish. You know, it wouldn't be a talk by me if there wasn't a quote from St. Augustine, so here we go. But I love this comment that he makes. We are pilgrims, people on the road. We're not residents. We're pilgrims. We're not residents. And pilgrims keep moving. So we should therefore feel unsatisfied with what we are if we want to arrive at that to which we aspire. It's another way of saying becoming what we are not yet. So as we look for the future, we have to be a better university, and we have to be a better Villanova. And as I've said over and over again, I'm not interested in looking like anybody else. I'm interested in looking at being a better Villanova. We know what we do well. We know how we live as a community. We know how we fail as a community. And we need to be a community that really resonates with each other and realizes the potential that we have right here on this campus, the potential we have to greatness. And I really believe that. So as we look to our future, this new plan will begin to shape its place. And I really call on everybody in the community to create these new pathways, to give really concrete expressions to the following kind of 6 pillars or 6 foundations that we've looked at for this strategic plan. The first one is to really focus on melding the heart and the mind together. We talk all the time about being a community that is heart and mind, but we really need to start focusing on how we join those things together, how we join those two things together. And an Augustinian education really calls to educate the whole person through transformational experiences. And we have to look at all the experiences that our students, faculty, and staff have here on campus. But it's a community where dialogue needs to take place, interaction, sharing. We need to make them part of the educational process and need to make it work that way. And it demands that we prepare our students for a lifetime of positive and civil engagement with themselves, their local community, and the world. And I really mean civil engagement, to be civil with one another and to recognize that. The next thing we need to do is really to create paths for our students that are recognized, realized in them. Our graduates should be able to apply their knowledge, their experience, to really, as to ignite the world, to set it on fire, to make life changes in one way or another. You'd be amazed, and sometimes I think we lose track of some of the students that move on from here, but some of the things that they are doing, and it's not in Wall Street, some of the things that they're doing around the world, around the globe, some of the initiatives they've taken are just incredible that what they can do. And on Augustinian education, as we do this, really has to develop that individual to make sure that what they are passionate about can become a reality. The next one is, we invite people to come one and come all. Come on into this place. And therefore we have to be open to everyone, and we have to reject any arrogance that exists among us. We need to foster an inclusive and a diverse and equitable community that celebrates individuality and encourages respectful dialogue and cultivates a sense of belonging among all of our members, among all of our community. And that dialogue can at times be very disturbing. It can be confronted. We don't have all the right answers. We have to listen to the experience of everybody. And we have to be able to say that, some people's opinions are their opinions. And it's not our duty to necessarily, shape or, mold them into what we want them to be, but mold them into better what they should be. And that's a difficult task. So for all of us as professional educators in this Augustinian environment, and when I say educators, I include everyone, the staff, the faculty, all of us play a part in educating our students. All of us play a part in developing them in one way or another. But it's not that we should distribute information to them, but we should help them form understanding and wisdom. And that's a difference. Help them understand and to come to understanding and to wisdom. And as true teacher scholars, we should be intentional with every dimension of our academic experience and explore new models of teaching, new models of learning, new models of research, new models of scholarship. We need to prepare people to think critically and act compassionately. And we need to invite them into this process of discovering what's new and how to do it. We need to question, we need to debate, and we need to innovate. Augustine calls each one of us to be restless, and we should never be satisfied to seek something that is commonplace. We should always seek for something new and exciting and conduct research that really deepens human interactions, improves lives, propels society, and really constantly serves the common good. And all of us can do that. All of you know, I mean, the faculty particularly, when you do scholarship and research, there's always somebody that's going to criticize you. You know, there's always somebody that thinks they know better than you do. But it doesn't stop us. It doesn't stop us from moving forward. It doesn't stop us from really investigating what is the best thing to develop to be compassionate people, and what it's going to give the common good, the tools and the resources necessary to move this world forward. All of us know we live in a very, very fractured time right now, and we need to find ways to heal it. So, as I said, that's kind of the pillars of the strategic plan, to be really people that are global, to innovate, to look at how we approach this educational system and how we continue to do it. And the strategic plan is really looking to do that. The aspirations are really pushing us forward as an institution and allowing us to explore pathways that can enrich this Augustinian Catholic experience. It's a way of it's a way of being ancient yet ever new, as Augustine would say. So at this time, we have some time here. We started late, so I'm not looking at everybody, so don't look at your clocks, but I want to invite Dr. Maggitti, the Provost Pat, to come up.
So anyway, first I would echo what Father said. So many people in this room have been involved in the strategic plan. It truly, as Father set out the path at the very start for this to be an inclusive process, it really has been. So first, I would thank everyone in this room for the feedback that you gave and the thoughts that you had about the community and about Villanova, what we do well and things that we don't do so well. At the end of the day, we had, I think, something like over 5,000 people between in-person sessions and Father Peter's website and surveys that have gone out to faculty, staff, students, parents, employers, community members. Anyway, it has been a great process, and it's been really validating to see how consistently everybody evaluates Villanova, those strengths and those areas that are in need of improvement. I mean, at the end of the day, there's thousands of people coming together to say, there's certain things we're great at. We're great at community, obviously, here at Villanova. We're great teachers at Villanova. We educate in a way we think that is so unique and special, and those two things come together through the Augustinian traditions of community, where people come together to realize greatness, not just for the sake of coming together and singing Kumbaya, but that we come together and we do great things together as a community, and really that feedback was loud and clear regarding those particular strengths. On the other side of the fence, there were things that we need to really think about. And Father, as he mentioned, there are issues around the inclusivity of that community. So we're very proud of this community, and this community does wonderful things, but we can always be more welcoming. We can think about diversity, and we can think about the students that we bring in and delivering to them in terms of their financial need. We're not a school that has been able to match the financial need of the students that come here who have financial need. We're building a tremendous research enterprise that has been an ongoing effort, not without pain, not without a lot of angst and growth pains, but our faculty are doing wonderful things. And so there is a lot of feedback from this community about increasing our support for our faculty and also enabling them to realize their greatest levels of potential in terms of scholarship. And as Father mentioned, academic facilities is an area that is in need of attention after we've moved through this campus in various ways. So gathering all of that data, we've come up with these aspirations, and we've brought them back in other open sessions like this, right in this room that many of you also attended, honed them back and forth, have spoken to the Board of Trustees, and we've moved forward with assembling several different committees and groups. At this point, it's several hundred or at least a couple hundred individuals from this community who are looking at each of these 6 aspirations moving forward in the strategic plan and how we might achieve them. So Father had a very nice way of putting these 6 aspirations. I break them down a little bit more pragmatically in terms of these things having to do with personal growth of our students and their pragmatic success, and that the two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, right? The education and the transformation that goes on here for our students is something that spills over into who they are as people and who they are in their community, but also enables them to get amazing positions, whether it be in nonprofits or in Wall Street or volunteers, or they go on to graduate school. They are individuals who are wanted by those who aren't part of this community because of the individuals they are. And so as we move forward, this strategic plan will set forth Villanova to be the leader in higher education, providing value with values. And I hope that's something that resonates. I know it resonates. Father and I are both first-generation college students, and it's really important to think about the value we are providing, especially at our price point. And it's in direct response to what we see every day in the newspaper, questioning the value of what institutions like Villanova are doing. So it's a very powerful, in my opinion, headline for the strategic plan and how we're going to move forward.
Just curious, how many people in this room are part of one of these groups?
Great. So each of the 6 aspirations, those being the first 2, one being on the inclusive environment, another on teaching and learning, one focusing on our research efforts, and then a 6th group looking at community and the types of things that we do outside the classroom that are just as important to who we are as Villanovans as what goes on inside the classroom. But we have individuals from the cabinet that are heading each of these 6 aspiration teams, someone from the cabinet coupled with one of our deans, and we have a fully articulated governance structure where we are trying to draw together folks that in this room that are on the front lines of these different areas, whether it be careers, whether it be personal growth, research, etc., so that you are developing as part of this community the initiatives that we might move forward with in the strategic plan. So that, again, fits with Father's vision of this being a very inclusive process as we move forward as Villanovans.
The way this is going to work right now, I mean, as these groups continue to move forward, we're hoping that by October, the Board of Trustees meets 4 times a year. They meet in October, December, February, and April. So we're hoping that we can bring at least the realized plan to them in October for them to kind of put their stamp of approval on it. It won't be glossy, it won't be filled out completely. We'll get some comments from them one way or the other. You do know that they have to approve everything, so and then hopefully in December, I'm hoping by December, that we can present it to them for a final vote. And then, so 2019 could really be the beginning of the new strategic plan.
And I think it has resonated thus far with the board, and it's resonated in sessions like this across our community. I've had the chance to present to parent groups, to faculty and staff, to students. There's a lot that resonates. There's a few really, really big components to this future plan. One of them has to do, again, with what I mentioned in terms of meeting the need of our students. You know, right now, we meet about 80-some% of the financial need of our students who have financial need. Competitors, some of our competitors in higher ed, like Lehigh, Boston College, Notre Dame, Georgetown, Holy Cross, Bucknell, all meet 100% of the need of their students that have financial need. So that's a bit of a competitive disadvantage for us at the undergraduate level, obviously, and that's something that will be addressed in this plan. It's a massive lift. It's a big deal. It's a lot of money to close that gap, and it's a hard thing to even calculate because it's sort of a moving target. Research is another area that's a big deal, right? There's the ever-changing global and regulatory environment has really been onerous on our faculty. So providing them the support that they need so that they can engage in their scholarship without feeling overwhelmingly burdened by this regulatory environment is something that we're trying to do, but it is something that's not cheap. It's not cheap, it's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight. And finally,
and it demands a lot of time.
It demands time, it demands people, and it means that some of our faculty need to retool and understand these changes. They come at us every day, and we're trying to move them along back to faculty so that we all understand and are operating and doing our scholarship and research in a way that is complying with federal regulations. It's a big deal. So again, a big thing to move there, a big boulder in this plan. The third really big boulder has to do with academic facilities. And I know a lot of you in this room are sitting in offices that could be much better. Hats off, Father mentioned this, but hats off to the folks in Mendel who were affected by the flood that hit them, and also to the individuals in some of the departments who have given up their own lab and classroom space to accommodate those faculty. We're really, there's some great stories behind there, but academic facilities are not cheap. But we have some that are in dire need of repair, replenishment, and we need more space. We know that we're out of space. So that is also a massive boulder to move. And I thank Ken Pulaski and his finance folks. We are working on where we pay for all of this, but that's also a big undertaking.
How we pay for it is, but you also need to understand that it's going to be a massive amount of patience. Because just think, any of you who spent any time this summer in Tollentine Hall, why they just were renovating one small hallway, it was so disruptive, and it's still disruptive. I mean, to close that building down for 2 years and make the improvements that need to be made in it, it's going to be really, you think Mendel Field is a problem? It's going to be disruptive. It's going to be disruptive to our life. You know, we need to create a sequence as to how this comes about. You know, what are the most dominant needs right now that we can address, and how do we address them efficiently and effectively, and make sure that they are facilities that are going to be lasting. We have to stop putting Band-Aids on things. I mean, they need to last, and they need to be willing to, you know, they need to be able to uphold, you know, long periods of time. So I mean, but it's going to be, for those of you that will outlive me, it's going to be a long struggle to get this done, because we need to find spaces to put people, you know, and some people right now have been displaced in all kinds of ways. But, you know, you're not going to necessarily have the office that you have now for a while. So, you know, things will have to change in order to address those facilities. But it's essential, it's critical that we address them. We have to. We are really, Pat reminds me all the time about how we are suffering in the area of STEM in terms of recruiting people. You know, people come and see our facilities versus other places, and, you know, and I know we do great things, but, you know, 17 and 18-year-olds are very attracted to the gleam, and the glisten, and what it looks like. And so therefore, but it's going to be difficult for us. The other thing that, not to steal your thunder here, but when he was talking about the financial commitment to the students, we could figure out, you know, and we've talked about this, and you might want to say something about this, but, you know, we've talked about the idea that we could do it differently, but we want to do it the way Villanova should do it. And so, you know, we can change the percentages. You know, we could take 70% full pay and 30% financial need. we would change this place forever if we did it that way. That would no longer be recognizable. This would become a country club. And it's close to that as it is. But, when I think of all the things we do for the students, for these kids. But we could change the formula, but we can't do that and really be true to what Villanova should be about. We need to be a place that attracts people from all over. So we need to look at it, and that's why it's gonna cost us what it's gonna cost us.
Well, as you've said, we're a school that's founded on, immigrant population in particular. But, this first generation, there are needs.
Yeah.
There are financial aid needs. I mean, we could easily, with the demand that we've been fortunate to have, we could easily go out in the marketplace and choose students who'd probably be, by averages of SAT, they'd probably be just as good, but we could choose full-paying students. And I think that's what Father's saying. And some of our competitors
have done that.
They do that.
They do that.
That's how they match that. So doing that the right way, I think, is something at least that I believe in strongly, and I know most of my colleagues feel the same way. It's one of the reasons we're here at Villanova.
Well, we're just about an hour, and I know you're all eager to get back to your offices. But any questions for either one of us?
Can I welcome our two new deans? I thought maybe we
yes.
should.
I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Dr. Donohue, who's our new dean of the M. Louise Fitzpatrick College of Nursing. Christine Palace in the house. Christine Palace, our new dean. Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Leslie Perry from nursing, and also Randy Weinstein. It is not easy duty to be an interim dean, especially under the circumstances that both of you became interim. So thank you both very much.
You might as well introduce the new.
Huge.
Okay. Let me introduce the new general counsel. Everybody loves a lawyer. Michael Zuby.
When you need him, you love him. That's for sure.
Michael, has been here. He's a Villanova graduate, undergraduate, a Villanova Law School graduate, and he's been working here for the last 5+ years in the general counsel office. So, at Notre Dame, they call them double domers. Here we call them double spires. So, but Michael has a lot of experience. I think a lot of you have worked with him over the years. So he'll hit the ground running, I know. So, any questions though? About anything? Oh, you're so nice. Going once. Going twice. Well, there is a reception in the back here. Is there? I expected the wall to suddenly start moving. There it is. Magic.
This is something we do better than anybody else, is have reception.
Yeah. So hang around, talk to each other. If you don't have anything important to finish up today, have a safe ride home. I just gave you the rest of the day off, so...